In this video, I'm going to show my Amazon Echo that I got as a gift. I probably wouldn't have bought one if myself, but a relative got it for me. So I figured I'd try using it. So me and my wife have been using it. I started writing an app for it, a skill, because I want to do a couple things. Let me actually turn the TV off. So I'm going to show the skill I wrote, which is to turn the TV on and off. I'm probably also going to add some extra stuff to the skill to change the volume, and I'll talk about why. And then also I'm using a skill someone else wrote that uses a video skill API to control Kodi. So that's pretty cool. They're doing most of the work for me, so that guy's really useful. I'll link it in the video description, that skill. But then the other one I wrote just custom, just to turn on the TV, turn on and off the TV, because you could turn off the TV with his skill, but you can't if you have a CEC module like I do, but you can't turn the TV on. So I want to be able to just basically use the TV without a remote. So let me show the example here. Alexa, turn on the TV. Oh, sorry, didn't hear me. Alexa, turn on the TV.
Okay.
So what it did there is TV is actually just sending command to wake up my computer back there, my HTPC. That has a USB CEC module. You can look up what that is. Click back on here. It's just in the way. But that has a USB CEC module that can change the volume and turn on and off other devices. So when Kodi wakes up, it's actually sending the CEC command to turn the TV and the receiver on. The Echo is doing is actually turning on the computer that's right back there, and using a wake on LAN packet. I'll show how I'm doing that. I'm triggering that too. And then to turn it off, it just uses the Kodi API to suspend the system. So I'll show how I'm doing those two, and then the rest of it, I'll show the video skill a little bit. Alexa, play Westworld.
Getting Westworld from Kodi Video.
So you can see it played. It plays the next. Okay. Alexa, mute Kodi.
This place is the answer to that question that you've been asking yourself.
Alexa,
What question?
mute Kodi.
Who you really are. It's not a...
Okay.
So I don't know the volume commands. I believe you have to say the name, because it'll end up muting itself. The Echo will end up muting itself or changing the volume on itself. So usually I just say Kodi, because then that's what I set the device as in the Kodi video app that the other guy wrote. The other stupid bug with this is, okay, Alexa, unmute Kodi.
I think
Alexa, stop Kodi. Or Alexa, stop.
looking for the moral of the story. Quite simply ask.
Alexa,
Man I dated
stop.
died 35 years ago. You had a partner.
Jeez, it's timing. Alexa, pause.
His search for consciousness consumed him.
So it actually does no stop. Maybe it wasn't hearing me, but what's stupid is even if you say stop, it just sends the pause command, and that's because of like a choice in the Amazon API that Amazon makes, that they think that people never actually mean to stop their video. But this guy's like, we do want to stop it in Kodi, but that's because he's using the video skill API. He doesn't have control over that. So he's complaining about that, and hopefully we'll get that fixed. That even if I have Kodi or Alexa, stop. So or Alexa, resume. Alexa,
I think there may be something
stop.
wrong with this world.
Have you been hearing voices?
See, the stop sends a pause. That is not the video. That's not the skill. That's not the skill's fault. It's the Amazon's video skill fault. It's not the skill that this guy wrote's fault. So he's just getting the wrong API call. So that's basically it for his skill. Alexa, turn off the TV.
Okay.
This one's mine kicking. The on and off are mine. I'm also gonna add the video. I'm gonna add the volume stuff to mine, because if you change the volume on here, I didn't show it, but if you change the volume here, it uses the Kodi API, and the Kodi API does not have. It changes the volume. It sets it to a percentage, and that doesn't support CEC, so it won't actually change the volume on the receiver, which is what I want to do. the only way to do it through that API is to use the increment, where you increment and it just goes up or down. And that the reason is I don't think they know. I don't know if CEC gives the total amount, like what is your volume out of 0 to 40, 0 to 100. It doesn't know that. So because of that, it doesn't know how to just set it to a percentage. So it always just says, okay, well, I'll just tell the receiver, the TV, to +1. So plus or -1. So if you increment or decrement in the API, it'll increase the volume. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to, I'll add to my skill to increase the volume. So I'll just say increase the volume on the TV, and it'll increase the volume 1, or I might make it like 5, because if you just do 1 at a time, it won't make a big difference. Or make it like 3, and then now you can just increase or decrease the volume without having to use the remote. So in general, I don't have to use the remote. It's still simpler to use the remote. It's just kind of cool. You can do it. I mean, you could just go ahead and play something easily, lay down if you don't have to worry the volume. So in general, you can do it without a remote, and that was my goal here. So that's pretty much it done there. I'm going to show the skill stuff a little bit. I probably have to wake up my computer now. Just a second. Black out for a sec. Okay. All right. So let me show here first how I wake that computer. So what I was doing there is the first thing you want to do is you need to recompile. This is the way I did it. There's tons of other ways to do it. The only code we really care about right here is this stuff on the bottom. This is the stuff I have for Echo. So basically I have this location for Echo. And when I have here, let me show my skill real quick. This is my skill. Basically the meat is right here. Is this stuff? It's sending turn on to this URL. This is at my home, and this URL is actually Nginx over there doing a couple stuff, and the URL, and then it sends a response. So let me see, where's that? Oh yeah, here's HTTP get. So this is basically what it's doing. It's just browsing those URLs, and then it sends a response to Alexa to say okay. Otherwise, Alexa won't know that the thing worked. So there's that. So the API goes to these locations, to the TV on, TV off. I'm gonna modify this a bit once I add volume to make it a little bit more modular. Now, the first thing you want to do is you need to recompile Nginx with Lua support. You could do it different ways. You could just use PHP to execute the wake on LAN binary. I just did it here, so I can just do it directly. So I did that, and then you have to load the Lua module. So in FreeBSD, it's pretty easy to recompile and add the option, because in the port, you just turn on that option, then recompile it, and then just make the port, and it'll have Lua. So then you see here this whitelist. I'll show that in a little bit, but TV on, I then use this content by Lua block, and then I just use OS execute, and then I use the wake binary, which is in FreeBSD, no matter, so this is in a FreeBSD jail right here, which is on my FreeNAS. And it sends it to this, lag is my interface, and then this is the MAC ID I'm sending the wake on LAN. So that's basically what it does. The one thing you do need to keep in mind is you're doing this, Nginx will run as the www user, so it's not root. In order to get this to work, I had to set UID on the wake binary. So you're kind of like making it so anytime you run the wake command, it's running by root. So not really a security implication unless there was a bug in wake, but there's a couple things that would stop someone from using this to get into your system, like the authorized list and the what's it called? And wake would have to have a bug in it. But basically, what people could do is if they could get on this, they could use the wake command. But you pretty much set it to only send it to here. So yeah, I don't know if there's many security implications to making wake always run as root. So that's it there. Okay, and then to turn the TV, so that's to turn the TV on, I'm using wake on LAN. I'm using that command right there. To turn it off, I'm just forwarding the request to this ID, which is the Kodi, the HTPC, using the JSON RPC URL, and then I'm sending. It would basically be like, it would look like this: question mark request equals. See, it would be like request. You see a request is down here, so this is basically the argument. and your argument would be after be a question mark. And then I'm sending a URL encoded request, and I'll show what that is. So I just looked up the API for Kodi, and the URL encoded request is right here. You have to set the ID. This can be anything. JSON RPC 2.0, you have to set that. And then method, and this is where your API call is. So this is a Kodi API, and then I encoded that to this, and then I just copied that and pasted it over here. So this is what it sends. And this is how I'm going to change the volume. I'm going to basically do another one that says method is whatever, I think application set volume, and then I have to say value equals increment, something like that. So I'll basically just use that API to do that. So that's how I did that. Let me see. That's how I'm doing the sleep, is I'm sending an API called a Kodi. The last thing I need to show is how I limit it to only the Amazon API. So you can see here I have this include AWS whitelist and then denial. So only the AWS IPs, and actually only the ones from North America, US North, US East 1 or something am I allowing, because that's where my server is, that's where my Lambda function is running. So if you see on here, I have North Virginia, right? It's blurry, but see, I pick my servers North Virginia. You have to pick this one if you're using Lambda to do smart home calls, because that's, I think, where their server is. So that's where I have this code running. And so the code runs from there. So then let me see. So then you have to look up the AWS IPs. So this is to block basically other people from running this command to turn on and off your TV. And you go to this website. I just searched AWS IPs. You can click download IP ranges. It's going to be a JSON file. And this prefix, it's a huge amount of stuff. So you can see here, global, so that's not useful. Here's an example, US West 1. I'm actually running from US East 1. And the reason is because that's where you have to, if you're going to use the smart home skill in English, in US English. So all of these there's like hundreds of these. Prefixes are all the IPv4 addresses. So what I did was you take this, and actually having instructions how to use, I think the command is JQ. So they have instructions how you download this file. I use JQ to basically limit it to only the US East ones and only the ones with service Amazon, because there's other services they have there too. So only US East 1, only Amazon, and then I only made it the IP addresses. So then I used it. I did some of this. So I kind of combined these two to just get the IP address ranges here. And so I just did that and sent it to a file. It only took like 2 commands, and I ended up with a file that I named AWS whitelist. Leave editor, no saves, and then we'll show that file. And that's basically it. Oh, and then I use sed to add the word allow, and then add the semicolon to make it in the format Nginx wants. So these are all the IPs that are US East 1 for Amazon. So IP ranges. So that's basically it. That's how I limit it to only AWS running commands on my system. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can put in the comments. I don't know how useful this is for other people. Basically, it'd be useful if you have an Echo and you have CEC on your TV, because there's no point turning on the TV if you have to go use another remote to turn on your HTPC if you also turn on the TV. So it's only really useful if you have CEC as well. So it would work. That does work if you're using like a Raspberry Pi, because that has CEC. But I don't know. Yeah, I think those have Wake on LAN. So anyway, that's what I did here, and it was somewhat frustrating but somewhat fun. I'm glad I got it done. So hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll see you guys later.